Hi everyone. I'm now here in Wall Street, and I just got off to train. So if you're coming from Times Square, 2 or 3 train is going to be the perfect train for you to get to Wall Street Station. Because this street, you're gonna see right away, 50 steps away from the subway, you're actually gonna see Federal Hall, and right across that Federal Hall is New York Stock Exchange, where you're going to see Freedom Girl, and at the same time, you're going to see a glimpse of Trinity Church. Like, look, I'm walking now towards Federal Hall. There I am now going to Federal Hall, which is a historic building. George Washington was sworn in this building as the nation's first president. It refers to 2 structures: Federal-style building, which was completed in 1703, and the current Greek Revival-style building, which was completed in 1842. But only the first building is the Federal Hall. The original building was New York's first City Hall. The Stamp Act Congress met here to draft its message to King George III, claiming entitlement to the same rights as the residents of Britain and protesting taxation without representation. After the United States federal government was established in 1789, it was renamed Federal Hall. It was designated a city landmark by the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission in 1965 and was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1966. It's also a contributing property to the Wall Street Historic District, created in 2007. What you can see here is Trinity Church. I think it's a perfect spot where you can take a selfie or a picture here. This is the best spot, like Wall Street and Broad Street. When brokers signed the Buttonwood Agreement, it formed an organization for securities trading and founded New York Stock Exchange in 1792. Prior to this, Securities Exchange had been intermediated by auctioneers. In 1817, it reformed as the New York Stock and Exchange Board. And by the half of the 19th century, there was rapid growth in securities trading due to technical advancement. Okay, now look who's with me. I'm with Freedom Girl, right? Freedom Girl? Yes, that's gender equality and women economic empowerment, right? Yes. She said yes. More women on corporate boards, right, Freedom Girl? Right? She said yes. The Fearless Girl was originally installed on March 7, 2017 at the Bowling Green, the day before International Women's Day. But Demotica, who installed the charging bull, complained that the Fearless Girl facing the charging bull distorted the message of the bull from a symbol of prosperity and strength to becoming a villain. Eventually, the Fearless Girl was moved in front of the New York Stock Exchange. We are now in Trinity Church. During the September 11 attacks, people were taken inside this church from the massive debris cloud from the first World Trade Center tower collapse. Some of the chapel pews paint was rubbed off from the people taking refuge. But while the pews were later replaced, they kept one pew as a remembrance of the events on 9/11. I'm now going to Charging Bull, which is on the same street, Broadway Street, as the Trinity Church. There are a lot of people here, so I'm not gonna line up here. So the Charging Bull, sometimes referred to as the Bull of Wall Street or the Bowling Green Bull, is a bronze sculpture that stands on Broadway, just north of Bowling Green. The bull is a symbol of aggressive financial optimism and prosperity in the financial district. The sculpture was created by Italian artist Arturo Di Modica in the wake of the 1987 Black Monday, when the stock market crashed. On December 14, 1989, Di Modica illegally dropped the sculpture outside of the New York Stock Exchange building. There were a few rocks in front of the charging bowl, so I stood on one of the rocks and I just tried to get an angle. Okay, just in the back of the charging bowl, you will see Bowling Green Park. And when you enter Bowling Green Park, it goes towards the National Museum of American Indian, which is a museum devoted to the culture of the indigenous peoples of Americas. It is part of the Smithsonian Institution group of museums and research centers. There was controversy when the Museum of the American Indian considered merging with the Museum of Natural History to be housed in Dallas or moving to the U.S. Customs House. But moving the collection to a museum outside New York received opposition from New York politicians. A political compromise has been reached between those who want to keep it in New York and those who wanted to keep it in Washington. Therefore, this is where it was housed currently in the financial district. What you can now see is the Oculus. It's sleek, modern, and artistic landmark located walking distance to the World Trade Center. It's more than just a transportation hub. You can shop, dine, explore art, attend events, both inside and outside the Oculus. September 11, 2001, 4 commercial airlines were hijacked mid-flight by 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists. The hijackers were coordinated into 3 groups of 5 hijackers and 1 group of 4. Each group had 1 hijacker who had flight training and seized control of the aircraft. The mission of 9/11 was to crash planes simultaneously into symbolic American structures and to cause fatalities and partial or complete demolition of the targeted buildings. These are terrorist attacks by the Islamic terrorist group Al-Qaeda against the United States of America. The first plane hit into the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m. 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., the World Trade Center's South Tower was hit by United Airlines Flight 175. Both 110-story towers collapsed within an hour and 42 minutes, leading to severe damage of surrounding buildings. The destruction of the World Trade Center and nearby infrastructure adversely affected the economy of New York City that led to a global economic recession. As a result, many countries strengthened their anti-terrorism legislation, law enforcement policies, and intelligence agencies to prevent future terrorist attacks. It is one of the saddest days for America.
It stood when terrorists brought September down. It stood among myths. It stood among ruins. To stand was its purpose. Hands as stripes, hands as a flag. And a rescuer reaches for a stuffed toy to collect a touch. And George...
We're now in St. Paul's Chapel, which is part of the parish of Trinity Church, built in 1766. It hosts a variety of neighborhood and arts events and welcomes more than 1 million visitors every year. On the same street at 233 Broadway is Woolworth Building. F.W. Woolworth, the founder of the popular 5 and 10 cent stores, conceptualized the skyscraper as a headquarters for his company. Irving National Exchange Bank agreed to use the structure as its headquarters too. Construction started in 1910 and the building officially opened on April 24, 1913. More than a century after its construction, it still remains as one of the 100 tallest buildings in the United States. While I am taking pictures of this building, I could hear people passing by saying that they are in awe of this building and it looks so magical, so please do not miss this structure. Right across Woolworth Building is City Hall Park. I think it's also gorgeous, so I decided to enter it. I think these are beautiful. So let me just try to take a few pictures here. Okay. I'm just trying out whatever angle. But I think it's gorgeous. I think it's one of those where you should take a picture. I'm already walking to New York City Hall, so I'm moving towards the Civic Center. I'm now in New York City Hall, which is the oldest city hall in the United States, constructed from 1803 to 1812. New York City Hall is a National Historic Landmark. Both exterior and interior had been designated as New York City landmarks in 1966 and 1976, respectively. Movies that were shot here were Spin City, starred Michael J. Fox as Deputy Mayor, City Hall in 1996, starred by Al Pacino as an idealistic mayor and John Cusack as his deputy mayor. In 1984, Ghostbusters, the mayor called the protagonists to City Hall. I'm going across towards Chambers Street, going to Civic Center in Lower Manhattan. Due to an increasing demand for government space after the 1898 consolidation of the city's 5 boroughs, Municipal Building began construction in 1909 through 1914. The architectural style is Roman Imperial, Italian Renaissance, French Renaissance, or Beaux-Arts. It is one of the largest government buildings in the world, with about 1 million square feet of office space. The Municipal Building was featured in Crocodile Dundee in 1986, when muggers pulled a knife on Paul Hogan and his girlfriend while walking outside the building. In 1994, in the movie Professional, Gary Oldman works for the DAA at the building. In 1996, one fine day, George Clooney was chasing someone to the roof. This area along Chambers Street, borderline between Tribeca and Financial District, is an undiscovered spot. It is relatively unknown because there's really just a few people taking photos here. 31 Chambers. This is Sorget's Courthouse, built as Hall of Records. The building was completed in 1907, was designed in the Beaux-Arts style by John Rochester Thomas. In 1901, Arthur Horgan and Vincent Slotty took over the completion after Thomas passed away. There were rumors that the 2 unknown architects had connections to the politically powerful Tammany Hall organization of the time. It faces City Hall Park and the Tweed Courthouse to the south and the Municipal Building to the east. The building was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1972, and it was also designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1977 for its architecture. Next to Sorget's Courthouse, 49 to 51 Chambers. Formerly the Emigrant Industrial Savings Bank, established in 1850. During the second half of the 19th century, was important for the Irish immigrants settling in New York who needed aid. This Beaux-Arts style design represents the beginning of the skyscraper with the H layout, which provided light and air to more parts of the building. Across is 52 Chambers, known as Tweed Courthouse, until 1929. From 1823 to 1878, boss William M. Tweed embezzled funds from the government budget. In 1873, he was convicted in this building and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Today, the building is headquarters of the Department of Education, while the ground floor is used by public school students visiting student groups and later as a full-time school. The courthouse is designated as New York City Landmark in 1984. It is also listed on the New York State and National Registers of Historic Places. The building has been seen in a number of film productions, including The Verdict, Dress to Kill, Kramer vs. Kramer, and Gangs of New York. Since I'm going to take 2 trains coming back, I will show you Cary Building, which is usually overlooked due to its location being that it's right on subway entrance and street level shops. It is considered one of the most important mid-19th century buildings because in 1856, William H. Cary hired architects King and Kellum, who introduced one of the earliest buildings with a facade made entirely of cast iron. Look up at the top and you will see the name of the building inscribed into the building's upper arch. And since I'm already here where Little Italy Pizza is, I got sausage pizza and garlic knots. So, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see my other videos, please go to Connie Loves NYC. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you again in my other videos. Bye!